Everyone, clank up your red shoes and shout there is no place like home, because the fans of NASCAR are arriving to this 25-year facility hoping for a breath of fresh air, as this track has been the center for some of the best racing we have seen in NASCAR, including the spot for the closest finish in the history of the NASCAR Cup Series. Last week, the defending champ got back to the winner's circle, while his Penske teammates looked to get back on the yellow road, while another driver in Kyle Larson has been driving flawlessly this weekend as he begins his yellow road to immortality on Memorial Day weekend. NASCAR and MDK presents the AdventHealth 400 pre-race show from the Kansas Speedway, about 23 minutes away from downtown Kansas City. Absolutely perfect, gorgeous, but hot weather here in early May in Kansas City. Temperature going to be in the mid 80s, 0% chance of rain, a slight wind east of the racetrack at 7 miles an hour. Wind gusts can get up to as high as 17 miles an hour. Green flag is scheduled for 3:13 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to episode of MDK RaceDay. My name is Jet. Hope we're having a wonderful day, wonderful Sunday as we get ready to kick off NASCAR at Kansas. Obviously, the last 4 or 5 weeks of NASCAR racing haven't been the best, but hopefully with Kansas coming into play, like I said, has been been the host of some of the greatest racing we have seen in recent memory in the NASCAR Cup Series. Hopefully, it can offer us a breath of fresh air as we kick off the final MDK RaceDay in Florida. Yes, I have an announcement that I will be making later on in the week. It is a big announcement. But yes, this will be the last week, or the last episode, I should say, that you will be seeing this background. But that's focused for later on this week. Let's talk about what's happening here today and take a look at the point standings following last Sunday in Texas. Joe Logano, the defending champion, earned a surprise win. Nobody expected him to take home the checker flag, but he did, taking home his first win of the season. He is now back in the top 10 in points. However, positions 1 through 4 remain the same, of Byron, Larson, Hamlin, and Elliott. However, Larson is the only one that can become the points leader following today here at Kansas. Larson is just 13 points behind. However, Hamlin and Elliott, they are tied for third, minus 83. They're more than a race behind. The max amount of points you can gain in a race is 60. They are way over 60 points. So only Larson or Byron can leave Kansas as a points leader. Tyler Reddick, he gains a spot up to 5th place, minus 84. Christopher Bell loses a position down to 6th, minus 86. Ryan Blaney gains a spot, minus 108. And Bubba Wallace, after he was caught up in a crash, falls to 8th in points, minus 115, with Joe Logano being the biggest gainer in the top 10 plus 2, back inside the top 10 in 9th, minus 133. Alex Bowman bringing up the rear at minus 137. Now, since there are 14 races to go in the regular season, we will take a look at the playoff grid following Texas. So here's a look at this. 4 drivers currently are safe at least for 1 point. Like I mentioned, you can only gain a max amount of point of 60 in a race. So for now, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, and Bubba Wallace, they are over that 60-point threshold, meaning they are safe for at least 1 point. Bowman, Chastain, Buescher, Briscoe, and Stenhouse, they're within that 60-point threshold, meaning they can fall out of the top 16 after Kansas. However, Bowman and Chastain, they can afford a little bit. Plus 56 for Bowman, plus 53 for Chastain, but then you get into the real danger zone. Buescher plus 27, Briscoe plus 17, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. holds the final spot ahead of Kyle Busch at plus 12, Hocevar minus 21, and Ryan Preece and AJ Allmendinger tied at minus 23 below the cut line. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR and proud sponsor of the Busch Light Polo Award, given to the fastest driver at each NASCAR Cup Series event. Busch Light congratulates Kyle Larson, kicking off the month of May with a bang with his 22nd career Cup Series pole and his 378th career start. However, this is not only his first pole of 2025, dating back to Chicago last July, but it's also the first time he's won pole here at Kansas with a speed of 183.730 miles per hour. Since 2020, Busch Light has invested more than $70 million in being a premier sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series. So let's take a look at the starting lineup for the 2025 AdventHealth 400 from Kansas Speedway. How about this? Last spring's race ended off with a thriller, 1/1000th of a second between Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher, so no surprise to see them start 1 and 2 exactly how they finished last spring, with Larson starting alongside Chris Buescher in the 17 ride. Row 2 is a pair of Toyotas, Christopher Bell on the inside lane and the 2023 Fall Kansas winner Tyler Reddick on the outside. Row 3 has Joe Logano, another former Kansas winner. Alongside him is Ty Gibbs in the 54 Toyota. Row 4 has William Byron in the number 24 ride and Daniel Suarez, very nice run for him in the 99 Chevrolet, with Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney bringing up the top 10. Row 6 is Aspire Boys of Michael McDowell and Justin Haley in the 7 ride. Row 7 has Austin Cindric in the 2 ride and Denny Hamlin, the most active race winner here at Kansas, including winning in the Next Gen era in the spring of 2023. Alongside him in the 14th position, Row 8 has Bubba Wallace, the 2022 Fall Kansas winner, and Eric Jones in the 43 Toyota. Nice run for both him and John Hunter Nemechek, both starting inside the top 20, alongside John Hunter Nemechek in Zane Smith, with Chase Briscoe and Austin Dillon rounding out the top 20. Row 11 has Alex Bowman, the 48 ride, the deepest of the Hendrick drivers. Alongside him is Carson Hocevar. Row 12 has Todd Gilliland and Noah Gragson. Rookie Riley Herbst and Ross Chastain, the spring 2024, or I should say the fall 2024 race winner alongside. Row 14 has Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the potential replacement for Riley Herbst, Corey Heim, making his first career Cup Series start in the 2025 season, driving for 2311 Racing in the 67 Robin Hood Toyota. And rounding out the top 30 is Ty Dillon in the 10 car and Ryan Preece in the 60 car. And here's a look at the final 4 rows of cars. Cole Custer and Jesse Love back in the Cup Series again for RCR in the 33 Chevrolet. AJ Allmendinger alongside him is rookie Shane Van Gisbergen. Kyle Busch, how about that? The penultimate last row, row 18, Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, both former race winners here at Kansas. Poor qualifying results for both of those drivers, and bringing up the rear in the 38 car lineup here today is Cody Ware and Las Vegas winner this year, Josh Berry. Now, Kyle Busch and Josh Berry, the reason why those two drivers qualify so deep in the running order is because they both hit the wall during their qualifying runs, thus granting them both 36th and 38th respectively. Now here's a look at the odds to win here at Kansas. Kyle Larson at the best of odds at plus 265, Blaney at 700, Hamlin at 750, and Reddick at 800 with Byron at 850. Then a big jump to Chris Buescher, who finished second at plus 1,000. Christopher Bell has been running very strong, but he has been quiet in recent weeks at 1,100. Bowman and Gibbs, as well as Logano and Elliott, all sitting at plus 2,000. Kyle Busch, like I said, starting 35th place at 2,200. Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain, those are sleeper odds, former race winners, both at 2,500. Keselowski at 2,800. Cindric at 3,000. Berry at 3,500. And bringing up the rear is Preece and Briscoe at 5,000 apiece. And Carson Hocevar at 6,000. And now you make the call. I didn't do this segment last Sunday at Texas. I do apologize for that, but we're bringing it back this week. If you guys do not know, I post on my YouTube channel, the discussion side. I will make a post offering your thoughts and opinions on what you think is going to happen here this weekend at any NASCAR Cup Series race, this weekend in particular being Kansas. I got a lot of suggestions. Very thankful for the people that reached out and responded to that post. Again, I will be doing one. I'll try to do one every single week. Again, there is a chance that I pick 8 of these responses, and there's a chance that yours could be on the show here today. So let's take a look at the 8 responses that we're going to be taking a look at here today. The first one, CST31 Racing Network 33 says, hot take, Corey Heim will get a top 10. Runs great at intermediate racetracks and was running around top 10 at Nashville last year before crashing out late. That's actually very true. Nashville, I completely forgot that Nashville, Corey Heim competed in that race, and he was pretty solid. In fact, I would argue that all of the starts he has competed in, he has been pretty solid, not only at 2411 Racing, but also when he replaced Eric Jones at Legacy Motor Club, I believe also last year. He has been putting up some very solid results considering the lack of experience he has in the Cup Series. And he's not starting too far back from Riley Herbst, a rookie driver, and a driver that I think Corey Heim should replace him, but that's a whole nother story for a different time. But that is not a hot take, I think. I think that could be a surprise. I think that's Corey Heim is definitely a sleeper in this race here today. It will not shock me at all if he can pull out a top 10 here today. Next one's coming from Dad760. He says, I predict that we will have the most fantabulous race we've seen since NASCAR was born. From different strategy, comers and goers, maybe some fuel saving, and maybe, just maybe, a fantastic finish to go along with it. Yes, there was a lot of people in the comments that said that. JC1424 also said that, this could be a good race. We need this. Everybody needs this. I mean, the last, like I said, month of racing not just in NASCAR, but I should just say month of racing period. NASCAR, IndyCar, F1 have just not been good, but especially NASCAR, the last 4 races have just not been up to par at all. Kansas has always delivered. In fact, surprisingly, Kansas has always delivered no matter what package you threw at it. Even during that dreadful 550 downforce package, somehow it still put out some banger races. So hopefully, the same could be said here today because we desperately need this. Next up is from Ross Crash Stain YT, says, KB, just hear me out. He's had speed at Kansas, leading late. Briscoe doesn't give him enough room, spins out. Other 2024 Kansas race jumps from 22nd or 23rd and slices his way to 8th in the last 2 laps. Perfect storyline for a perfect driver. Yeah, that's another thing with Kyle Busch. Now, yes, he will have a big hill to climb starting in 35th position, but you do look at Kansas last fall. I believe that he had that race in the bag. He had a real shot at winning that race until, like you mentioned there, Ross Crash Stain, it's a funny name, that incident between him and Chase Briscoe. There is still some rowdy in Kyle Busch, and Kansas is a type of track. It's kind of funny because Kansas was always Kyle Busch's kryptonite. If you've been a long-time NASCAR fan, you know that Kyle Busch, for some reason, him and Kansas just never gelled together until he finally broke through, I believe in 2016, and then started winning races there. If there is a track that Kyle Busch can come back from, Kansas would not be a bad place at all. Tech TKO 398 says Zane and Gregson are great underdog picks for this week. I mean, maybe Zane starting 18th, Gregson starting in 24th. Weird things have happened at Kansas, and especially with restarts. Who knows if we can get into an overtime position or a late restart late in the race. There could be a really good possibility. We could see some drivers spoil the party, get some real good finishes. Zane Smith did finish, I believe, 10th here last fall, driving for Spire. So it's not like it won't be anything new to see Zane Smith running well here in Kansas. So that is a real possibility. Danny Alex 7152 says, gonna go with Toyota, specifically JGR this weekend, as they have been pretty strong here. Others to watch out for: Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick. Surprise picks: Alex Bowman and Chris Buescher. You're gonna take the words right out of my mouth, but yes, I mean, the drivers to watch out for, you gotta look at Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. These are tracks where you gotta ride up against the wall to make the most amount of speed, and both drivers do that insanely well. Both are former winners here. Bubba Wallace, I'm a bit iffy on Bubba Wallace. Not saying he doesn't have the talent. He can run well here, and he has won here. I mean, we know he's good here at Kansas. But the speed in that Toyota car this weekend hasn't been the greatest. We're going to get to that a bit later on in the show. But surprise picks: Alex Bowman and Chris Buescher. Bowman, like I said, he's always been that type of driver where you don't see him until right till the very end. And Chris Buescher obviously finished second here last spring. I mean, by 1/1000th of a second, running well this weekend, qualifying second again to Larson. He could definitely be a surprise, but surprise to win, maybe. He has a real good shot. Ledette Brothers 9210 says, I believe Trackhouse Inspire might be strong today considering their last result in Texas, but for the Toyota teams, might be only JGR that's winning. It's interesting that you mentioned that because that's another point we're going to talk about later, is that when you look at when Toyota went to this new Camry in 2024, at Kansas, 2311 was shut out. Neither Bubba Wallace or Tyler Reddick, not only did they not win, neither of them finished in the top 10. The only drivers that really performed were 2 Joe Gibbs drivers, and that was Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. So I do think that's why I'm a little bit apprehensive, specifically on Bubba Wallace, because Tyler Reddick has shown a bit more speed this weekend than the 23 ride. Still a possibility where both of them can show great speed, but I'm much more comfortable at the JGR camp than I am with the 2311 camp. And you mentioned about Trackhouse Inspired, specifically with Trackhouse. Chastain, he was the last driver to win here at Kansas last fall. And then you look at Daniel Suarez starting in 8th today, has shown real good pace here this weekend. Spire, McDowell, and Justin Haley starting 11th and 12th. Carson Hocevar qualified on pole last weekend at a Monahab racetrack. Spire, they're on the up and up. Possibly having a good run today. Again, I mentioned Zane Smith. He was in Aspire and finished in 10th place last fall. So it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't be a surprise. It's a possibility, but and that's the thing. There are a lot of storylines, a lot of drivers that can show good speed here today, but obviously things have to fall your way in order to make that happen. Kyle Liu says, I think Ross Chastain will win again like he did last fall. Really hope Trackhouse gets their blank together. As a Chevy fan, I'm sick of only seeing Hendrick do really good consistently. I want Trackhouse and RCR to start winning races. You're not the only one that's saying that. A lot of people are saying that. RCR, Maybe with Kyle Busch, maybe. But again, like I said, he's starting 35th. That's a big hill to climb. We mentioned with Trackhouse already. They, trust with Chastain and Suarez. Maybe Chastain, he's got the winning experience. Suarez has had a good car, starting in 8th place. It wouldn't surprise me. Both of them, I don't know, but at least one of them I think can show some real speed. And the last one we're gonna end it off here is from RelZ2401. Says, I think Blaney finally gets his win. Has consistently been great on the long runs and has been great at the 1.5 mile tracks this year. Just always had bad luck, but I think he'll hit the jackpot this weekend. Yes, Ryan Blaney. That's why he is the second best odds out of anyone, because this year he's been really good on the mile and a halves, but just things have not gone his way. Vegas, Miami. Vegas, he had a great car, crashed. Miami almost won the race, finished in the top 5, and then Texas nearly won with him in that battle between him and Michael McDowell. So Blaney's time will come. I don't know about this weekend at Kansas, but Blaney's time will come to win a race. So let's get into the storylines finally. I know the light is like shining on the left side of my face, but let's get into the storylines here. Will we see a repeat of last year? Let's keep this in mind. A couple things. I believe we have a different tire compound coming into this weekend, and on top of that, I think the left side tires are new this week compared to last year. And on top of that, we're starting the race a lot earlier in the day. Last year was due to a weather delay. We started around 6 o'clock, I think 5 o'clock, and we ended up in the nighttime. We're not going to have that this weekend, but if you look at 2023 and 2022, both were done in the day, and both were really good races. So I hope that is the case, because we desperately need a good race. We got North Wilkesboro next weekend. With this car, more than likely, it's not going to be the most exciting event. So to give us some type of good, I think we are all hoping and praying for, at the very minimum. Don't care who wins. At the bare minimum, we have a good race today. Now let's talk about the potential of race winners. Could we have a 7th different winner here at Kansas? Ever since we went to the next gen car, we've had different winners. It started off with 4 Toyotas and then ended off at the last 2 races in 2024, 2 Chevrolets. It has been 2311 Racing that has been the team to beat here at Kansas, like I mentioned earlier. 3 drivers, 3 different wins. Kurt Busch in 2022 in the spring, Bubba Wallace in the fall of 22, and Tyler Reddick in the fall of 23. Sandwiched in the middle of that is Denny Hamlin in the spring of 23. But like I said also, ever since we went to the new Toyota last year, the only driver, at least that's running here today, that was the best last year was Denny Hamlin, who finished 5th and 8th respectively. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick were not good at all last year. Wallace finished 17th in both races, while Tyler Reddick finished 20th and 25th. Now, both were not too bad in practice, although Tyler Reddick, I believe, has the edge, had a slightly better car. But again, like I said, I'd be a bit apprehensive on both 2311 drivers. Corey Heim, he could surprise some people, maybe pull off a top 10. Like we mentioned earlier, but I would be a bit cautious on going all the way with 2311 based on what we saw last year, and them not having a real handle on this new Toyota Camry compared to what JGR has. Now, what about the chances of a 7th different winner? Again, it is a very strong possibility. Ryan Blaney, he still hasn't gone to victory lane yet he has been really damn good on these mile and a halves this year, just hasn't had the luck gone his way. Daniel Suarez, maybe, finish 8th, or starting 8th, I should say. Possibility if a late race restart. Crazy things can happen here at Kansas. It has been known to have crazy restarts. Chris Buescher starting in 2nd today. He has a very strong possibility of taking home the checker flag here tonight. There's a lot of drivers still that are in the big old goose egg column that have very strong chances at winning here at Kansas. It's a very open field. A lot of contenders, a lot of teams can have a shot here. But I do want to focus on Trackhouse. We mentioned Daniel Suarez running a 45 race winless streak, finished 13th last fall, and he finished 2nd at Vegas and 10th at Texas. So he's been running pretty well on the mile and a half this season. He was actually running well also in Miami if it wasn't for an issue on Perot that kind of took him out of contention of having any shot at a good finish. So Suarez this year on the mile and a half has been pretty good. We've mentioned Chastain multiple times, but in practice though, I do worry that what we saw in practice, specifically at the 99 camp, was just based off of a 1-lap run, because they were not good in practice. Neither the 1 or the 99 showed any speed in practice, but Suarez, they didn't do a 15-lap average. They didn't do a 15-lap run. They just did a 5 and a 10-lap run. Maybe this could possibly be because maybe they just think they're happy with how their car is handling. I don't know what, but I do hope to see Trackhouse show some speed here today. They have the potential. They've shown some speed on the Model halves this year to show that they are capable of showing great performance and great pace to have a shot at a good finish. But will that translate into Sunday? We'll just have to wait and find out. And finally, let's take a look at my Fantasy Live lineup. I got Chris Busch and Kyle Larson to finish 1-2, switched up there last spring. Christopher Bell and his teammate Ty Gibbs, as well as Chase Briscoe, and I got Dana Suarez in my garage. So I have 3 JGR drivers, 1 HMS, 1 RFK, and 1 Trackhouse in the garage. I think with Buescher and Larson, I think it's pretty well established. Bell, he has been running very good on these Model half racetracks, especially here at Kansas, so I got him in my lineup. Ty Gibbs, ever since he's got that new car chief, they've been putting on some very strong finishes in recent weeks, so I got him there. And Chase Briscoe, he ran very well last fall. Granted, it was with a different team, different manufacturer. I think if you give Chase Briscoe a good enough car, he can make it work. And then with Dana Suarez, we mentioned him multiple times in the garage, just in case anything happens to my 5 leaders. But the driver that I have winning this race, he's going to get redemption. Instead of being 1/1000th of a second short, he's going to be 1/1000th of a second better here today. I got Chris Buescher winning at Kansas, I almost said Texas, but it's going to be winning at Kansas to become the 7th different winner here at the Kansas Speedway and take his first checker flag of the year. I just have a feeling this is Chris Buescher's day. He wants redemption. He wants vengeance from last spring because he was the winner for about 25 seconds. And he wants to make sure this is permanent here today. So I got Chris Buescher winning. But that is it for this episode of MDK RaceDay. It's a pretty long episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the comment section down below. What do you think is going to happen in this race? As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jed from MDK. Thank you so much for watching. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the AdventHealth 400 from the Kansas Speedway. We'll see you tonight.